Thanks, Karine. I wanted to ask you about the question about migrants, whether they have or haven't been walking across the southwest border. Senator Ted Cruz has publicly suggested that you come down to see that for yourself. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. He's suggested that you come down and see for yourself whether migrants are actually crossing the border by foot. Is that something that you would take him up on?
So, I've been to the border. I went in 2018. I stood outside facilities where the Trump administration was separating families, tearing babies out of their mother's arms. Some of those kids still haven't been reunited with their families. And so one thing I will say is I certainly don't need lectures or invitations from Republicans about the border or border policies. And, and I certainly won't take advice on border from anyone who voted against securing record level of funding for the Department of Homeland Security. And while folks are sending invites, I'll use this opportunity to invite him or anyone else next time to vote for record funding for DHS, as President Biden has requested.
Senator, I think we're the first, second, third, and now fourth podcast that the White House has referenced from the press briefing.
It really is quite striking. And maybe when we're doing our college tour, we ought to film Verdict down on the border and invite Karine to come down to Verdict and be on the podcast. And she can lie directly on the podcast rather than doing it from the White House. Look, I got to say, it is stunning. Look, no one is surprised to see a press flacking. That's what they do. She's supposed to spin. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, White House press secretary spins. What is wild about this is she is brazenly, openly, shamelessly lying. And at this point, she knows she is, and everyone in the room knows she is. This all started when she said at a previous briefing that people are not walking across the border. It's just not happening. That is not happening. Now, that's not kind of sort of right. That's not a little bit wrong. It is precisely exactly opposite. And the invitation that I issued to her is I said, come down to the border and spend 1 hour with me. Go out on patrol with the Border Patrol Union. 60 minutes. You pick the time. Doesn't matter. Pick any hour of the day. We'll go out for 60 minutes. And I guarantee you we will encounter not one, but multiple groups of illegal immigrants because they are coming 24 hours a day. Every time I've gone out there, it doesn't take 60 minutes. It takes about 5 minutes before you encounter the first group. And it is a steady stream of humanity. And I suggested to her also, I said, okay, you said, as we just played in that clip, that you don't need to be lectured by Republican senators. I said, I'll tell you what, bring the entire Washington press corps. Bring them all down to the valley with us. You and I can go out for an hour and we'll hold a press conference. And one of two things will happen. If we don't encounter anyone, I'll stand up and say I was wrong. But when we encounter multiple groups, women, children, one after the other, you'll stand up and you'll admit you were lying. And not just lying, you were lying from the White House, deliberately and repeatedly. And to be clear, it's not just her lying. Joe Biden's responsible. He's paying for her to lie. And all of the corporate media that sat there silently, that haven't run fact checks, we haven't seen pants on fire, because none of the corporate media, this is an objective factual statement, and it is objectively and completely false. All of the corporate media is complicit in the lies. And actually this week, she escalated it even more, where she said absurdly, Joe Biden has done more to secure the border than Donald Trump. Like that is, I actually wonder if the reporters in the press briefing move back a few feet because they're afraid lightning is going to strike her as she stands there. Like, I cannot think of a White House press secretary who repeatedly, brazenly lied to the American people the way she is doing. Even Jen Psaki, who, would spin like crazy, but I can't think of flat out objective lies of the kind that Karine is now making a weekly, if not daily, occurrence.